After suffering back-to-back losses at home, the Philadelphia Union went on the road to take on DC United, where Philly tried to get back to their winning ways and avoid dropping points for a third straight match. We'll tell you how the boys in blue did, as well as a preview of what's to come this weekend down in Chester. Union Insider starts right now.
Takes the strike on, and it's off the inside of the post. Just for the Argentine. Oh, brilliant! Martinez fires.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another edition of Union Insider presented by Independence Blue Cross. I'm your host, Marisa. Today, I'm joined by, of course, this familiar face, Sebastian Latou, and joining us today is Union play-by-play announcer Dave Leno. Happy to have you with us, guys. And after dropping 6 points at home last week, the Union went on the road in search of a pick-me-up in the nation's capital this past weekend. Past meetings between the Union and DC United tend towards the dramatic side, and this time around was no exception. Let's take a look at the highlights from Saturday's match. Once again, not a pretty start for the Union in this one. Just the 9th minute of play, and DC has the ball deep in the Union half. Some nice passing in and around the box leads to this Christian Dahomey goal, giving the home side an early 1-0 lead. DC wasn't finished in the first half. 33rd minute now, a long pass from United keeper Alex Bono finds the head of Christian Benteke. A couple nice passes later, and Jacob Murrell shoots and scores for his first ever MLS goal. DC now up 2. The Union's first half response came during this free kick in the 42nd minute. Kai Wagner provides great service into space, and making an even better run is Alejandro Bedoya streaking into the box. He times his run out perfectly and sneaks his touch past Bono to cut the Union's deficit to 1. Union would remain down 2-1 until Jack McGlynn and his magic left foot. 79th minute, McGlynn sets himself up way outside the 18, rips a beauty of a shot into the upper right corner. That beautiful strike brought the Union even with DC and helped Philly salvage 1 point from DC United. So they were able to get a point out of this one, but once again, the Union conceded first in this game for the 7th time in their first 10 matches of the season. Why is this trending happening right now?
For me, like just watching against the game Saturday against DC, just the way they play in the first half, kind of like waiting, being a bit late, defensively, and then as soon as they have a bit, fire, behind them, they react and they play the same way they should play. So we saw, the team kind of like playing different formation with Gazda and Carranza, playing in front at this game, Maglin and Bedoya like flat 2-6, and Flag for his first game, coming back on the left. He was maybe not the best, like starting 11 and the shape, you wanted to see the team play. They changed in the second half, got better, and you see click a bit better offensively. But for the team, defensively, like you said, they give a lot of goals, and then we are trailing. And the last, I think, game without a goal against was against Minnesota, and it was at the end of March. So it's been a long time, and we know the strength of the team. It's defensively, don't give up a lot of goals because they are going to score. But if they give up, 2 goals, the past few games or 3, it's not, easy to get result. And it was, I think, good to have 1 point, but I think they could have done better.
And Dave, this is a team that has a lot of defensive talent, has been touted as a very strong defensive team over the years. Why hasn't it been so this season?
There's been inconsistency with the trio of center backs, with Elliott, Glesnes, and Lowe rotating, and also, it cannot be forgotten, with the injury with Andre Blake has suffered multiple injuries, the knee, adductor, and other things. Oliver Zemel has to come in. So there's been that lack of continuity in the back. I think everybody needs to realize that, but it doesn't make up for what's transpired through the first 10 matches. And I would also add that in the DC game, Sebastian, to your point, there was a lot of space given up, like up the spine of the Union, right behind. They were in a flat 4-4-2 at the start, switched to the diamond in the second half, kind of right behind the 2 number 6s, sitting defensive midfielders, McGlynn and Bedoya. And I think DC did an excellent job. Click in that game had freedom to drift everywhere, but in particular, the 2 guys, Stroud on the right, Dahomey coming from the left. They put in a ton of crosses to Benteke with his flicks. Merrill, as you mentioned, had that second goal. But the Union, as the comeback kids, and they've been doing that a lot this year, got back in the game, and that was the most important thing.
Dave, speaking of amazing goals, we simply have to talk more about Jack McGlynn's goal as we get into our key play of the week presented by Subaru. Sebastian is over at the TV monitor to break down just how nice of a goal this was for Jack McGlynn. Seba?
Thank you, Marisa. Yes, a banger of a goal from Jack McGlynn. Let's see what happened on this goal. So he started, with a long ball from Martinez, finding Bedoya. Bedoya found Area, play back to McGlynn, and you see kind of right away on this play, nobody really stepped on him, and you see already in his head he decided like he was going to go for the goal. You see how many DC players in, really in the back, but nobody really stepped from the center midfield. Darome is a little bit late, and Jack McGlynn on his first touch, really eliminate Darome. You can see it right here. And no question asked, with the confidence of last week's goal from 35 yards out, upper 90. What else do you want from Jack McGlynn? You see his quality from his left foot. A lot of people say to him he doesn't really shoot a lot, but when he does, we hope to see the ball hitting the back of the net. But again, this first touch, and here the second one, nobody attacked him, and at the end, what a beauty. You heard Dave, on the call on the radio, getting crazy, after an amazing goal. It'll probably be one of the top goals this season for the Union, but a great goal to give 1 point for the Union away from home. And we hope to see maybe Jack McGlynn, taking his chance more often.
Yeah, any goal that makes Dave Leno lose his mind on the radio is a good goal in my book. We've got more Union Insider for you in a bit, but first, here's your Union trivia question presented by United Concordia. Which season in Union history did the club have the fewest amount of draws? Find out later in the show. Time now for this week's Tweet of the Week. @KDDub reacted to Alejandro Bedoya's goal on Saturday by saying, "This was just beautiful," with heart eye emojis. What a ball by Wagner. Perfect run and finish by Ali Bedoya. #dupe. I don't know about you guys, but I think that's probably the perfect description of Ali's goal. Welcome back to Union Insider, presented by Independence Blue Cross. The Union announced a historic signing this afternoon. 14-year-old Kevin Sullivan, the younger brother of Union midfielder Quinn Sullivan, signed a homegrown first-team contract that will be among the highest-paying homegrown deals in MLS history. Our Sage Hurley sat down with Union sporting director Ernst Tanner to talk about what this deal means for the club in this week's Union Roundup, presented by Green Mountain Energy.
What's up, Union fans? I'm Sage Hurley, here with Sporting Director Ernst Tanner, who's here to talk about a very exciting new signing for the Philadelphia Union. Ernst, eyes across the world have been on the Philadelphia Union, and it's in large part due to a certain 14-year-old midfielder. His name is Kevin Sullivan. How important is his signing for the club and for Major League Soccer as a whole?
Yeah, first and foremost, it's very important for us that we keep our players. We developed some sort of DNA for, in particular, youth player development. And we want to keep our player and finish the product. And we cannot afford to lose them. Before that time happens, we all know we are happy to sell at the right point of time, but he's still at a very young age, and personally I think it's a fantastic environment what we can offer, and that's where he can grow.
So he's just 14 years old. How does this club get him ready to play at the next level?
Yeah, we can offer all responding levels in order to develop him further on. You know that he was playing under 15 underage, he was playing under 17 underage. We are now trying to reintegrate him in the second team, where he did a very good preseason. And then we need to go from there and see how he's doing there, and when the next step to the first team is due. We all know us. We just need to follow up the development and judge when the right point of time is to bring him to the first team.
He's a young kid, but he has an older brother in Quinn Sullivan who's already on the first team and knows what it's like to be a professional soccer player. How important is it for Kevin to have his older brother with him to guide him through everything he needs to know in this next level?
Yeah, I realized that how important it is with the Aronson brothers. They were teasing themselves at home, and they were doing fights at home, and but it's the usual wrestling these kids are doing, and of course it helps because usually the younger ones benefit from the experience from the older ones, and the older ones are the first ones who need to expose their elbows and maintain themselves, So it's a funny story with all these brotherhoods, and we are very happy to have that.
In this next step, it's a little bit different for these kids. And how do you help Kevin navigate the pressure of having a first-team deal?
Yeah, that's indeed a very good question. But of course, we need to keep him grounded and also exposing him to the next competitive level helps here because, When you are 14 years of age and you are already supposed to play against young men, that's pretty much of a challenge, and that itself keeps you grounded in a way. But of course, we need to see what we do with all the media stuff around him and handle that in the best way possible.
So you mentioned that on the field, he's as technical a player as any of them. What is it about his play on the pitch that makes him so desirable for this club and clubs worldwide?
It is basically the combination of everything. So he brings a pretty complete package along with him, and it's technique compared with physicality. He's very quick for his age. Very competitive. He can maintain. He's like I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but he's like that sort of bull terrier who is really knocking off others in a very and goes through. It's almost amazing to watch that, and certainly he's very creative in addition, and that's all the attributes which make a good soccer player.
What can fans expect to see from Kevin Sullivan this year?
I don't know actually, but if the development goes in that steep way further on, maybe we can use him at some point of time in the first team and expose him to that level. But like I said before, we are not seers, and we need to keep it with effect, and we also don't want to present too unfinished product in our stadium. He needs to get ready for that, and then time will decide when we are playing.
All right, fellas, well, the Union are back at home on Saturday to take on an Orlando SC side that's been struggling so far this season, second to last in the Eastern Conference. So it's time for these guys to hand over keys to the game presented by Subaru. Seba.
So to get back on the W, streak, get back at home and get a win, I think the team need to get a clean sheet, which means no goal allowed. Go back to the simple thing. The team have been so good, the past couple of years to keep, the goal of Andre or Oliver as a fortress. Make sure, we don't give up a goal, because we all see this year we are scoring goals. It doesn't matter who we're coming from. There's a lot of people, stepping us this season, but we need to keep the goal of our goalkeeper, without conceded, because it's going to be too much this season. And I think the strength of the team in the couple of years was to be one of the best defense. And so far, we are not where we were before, and I need to come back to that.
You're right. That was always such a baseline characteristic of this team, was to be solid defensively, keep as many clean sheets as possible, and then let the offense do their job. Need to kind of tweak that a little bit. How about you, Dave?
Continuing the theme from both of you, I would say high press early. Different from the DC game where we kind of sat absorbing that pressure and try to counter or direct play. I think it all starts with the guys up top. Carranza is out for this game due to yellow card accumulation. He cannot play even for good behavior. So unfortunately, we won't be without Julian in this one. So maybe Mikel Uhl will start up top with Quinn Sullivan, and Gazdag will be at the 10 in a 4-4-2 diamond. I expect those guys to press that back line. It's a Orlando team that now sits in the basement of the East, 14th out of 15th. They've allowed 8 goals in a span of 4 games. Their last win was 4 games ago against the aforementioned DC United team. So I expect the Union, if they can apply that pressure against a goalkeeper who stars for Peru, Pedro Gallese, he's a little bit shaky right now, guys. I expect if we dispossess them in their defensive third, create some opportunities with some combination play that we talked about that needs to be sharpened and fine-tuned, I think they will have a field day at home and perhaps a clean sheet like Seba dissected.
We're coming up on a break for Union Insider, but when we return, we'll go over a young forward who is in great form so far this season, and we'll look to keep things going on Saturday against the Union. We'll be right back after this. Time now for this week's Chick-fil-A Nugget of the Week. After their draw against DC United on Saturday, the Union became the second team since 2015 to start a season unbeaten in their first 6 road matches, joining the 2022 Red Bulls. Welcome back to Union Insider, presented by Independence Blue Cross. The Union welcome in Orlando City on Saturday, and though Orlando has been struggling a bit, their star young forward has been a bright spot. Of course, we're talking about Duncan McGuire, who takes the spotlight in this week's player profile presented by Subaru. McGuire was the 6th overall pick in the 2022 MLS Super Draft out of Creighton, and he's been highly productive in his first few seasons of MLS. This includes 4 goals and an assist so far this season. The Omaha, Nebraska Nebraska native, has also gotten some looks from the U.S. men's national team as he was called up to the senior squad for January camp this year. So we talk a lot about opposing forwards that the Union have to face week in and week out. What makes McGuire different?
It's just a forward that kind of very unorthodox for me. He's strong, he really can battle in the box, win headers and everything, but at the same time he makes a very good run in a space and he's very, very fast. So it's kind of a different forward, but you can see that the fact that he got picked, in the 6th round of the draft. He's hungry. He wanted to show what he can do. He did very well last season, and he's going back again for another great season. And he's kind of like a very positive add to this team. Who is not somebody you were thinking he was going to make it into like the starting lineup of Pereira, but he's doing it, and he showed what he can do, and he really win his place, as a starting 11 in his team. So very strong, forward. Not much we know about him, a little bit more, of course, from last season, but he's still hungry to show. He's still young, and I think he's going to be, a bright spot from this team. But we don't want him to give him too much space, otherwise he can be clinical in front of the goal.
How have you seen him develop through last season and this year as well?
I marvel, guys, at the timing of his runs, and I mentioned some of the players that he's connected beautifully with, like Facundo Torres plays out wide to Ojeda. I've seen it a lot on tape, whipping crosses. McGuire just feeds off of the back shoulder of an opposing defender. So whether it's Glesnes or Lowe, whoever's starting, they need to know, especially when McGuire does not have the ball, like Sebastian did, he just jets right towards the goal, whether Blake or Semla starts. It's his finishing, too, for me. He's finished better than I think most of the rookies did last year. Was second. They changed the award. It used to be called Rookie of the Year. Now it's Young Player of the Year award. Thiago Almada, the terrific player from Atlanta, won that last year. McGuire finished second. So I would say the timing of his runs, the finishing has been very clinical for him too. And I would just say the cohesiveness. They've seemed like they found, like that front four as mentioned, those bevy of players around McGuire have clicked. And I agree with you. I think Oscar Pereira didn't know what kid he was getting at a Creighton 6 overall, but he shined. He was actually rumored to go to the championship in England, but I believe just reading some stories that paperwork didn't work out, and he ended up back in Orlando. And I know the Orlando City faithful, the Lions, are very happy to see McGuire still there. Will be a tough task for the Union defense to try to hamper him on Saturday.
Definitely want a home win this weekend, but let's take a look at what happened last weekend and go back in time a little bit as we take a look at some other big moments around the week in Around the League presented by Torque. After recently being held scoreless when RSL came to Subaru Park, Christian Arango was back to his goal-scoring ways on Saturday. His goal in the 81st minute broke a 0-0 deadlock and lifted RSL to a 1-0 win over Kansas City. But, of course, the real story of the weekend, however, came from South Florida. Lionel Messi tallied a goal and a whopping 5 assists as he helped lead Inter Miami past the Red Bulls. And with those 5 assists, he set a new single-match MLS record. Of course he did. All right, when Union Insider returns, Seba and Dave will give us their players to watch for Saturday's match as they face off against Orlando City SC. We'll be right back after this. Here's the answer to this week's Union Trivia question presented by United Concordia. Both in 2018 and 2020, the Union had 5 draws, which is tied for the lowest total in club history. All right, it's time for this final segment here on Union Insider presented by Independence Blue Cross, which means to wrap this all up, we need some all-state players to watch. Guys, you know how this works by now. Seba, who are you keeping an eye on this weekend?
I mean, I'm going with the hot guy on the team right now, which is Jack McGlynn. I'm going to go see he's going to go 3 for 3. 3 games in a row scoring goals for the team, but more importantly, I think with his confidence he has right now, since now a couple of games scoring for the team, I think he can really be the guy who starts those offense for the Union. He has a great left foot. He has more goals than assists right now, but he should get a bit more assists. And I'm really looking to have him, really more efficient in his passing to really eliminate the defense, find the forward or the wide player in a perfect spot, but cannot be the guy who starts those offense. We saw him coming a little bit low against DC in the first half to try to get the ball a bit lower. I would like him to see him a bit higher, but find those pockets that he can turn and then have a shot like he did to score the goals. But if he's further away, it's where he finds the feet of the forward or the space if there is enough for him to find the run. But I really expect him to do a big game, and he could be like the big player in the midfield against Orlando.
Yeah, his service can be so crisp when it's on. So I'm looking forward to that too. Dave? My
player to watch will be Mikel Ua without Julian Carranza out again due to yellow card accumulation. Whether Ua starts or comes in off the bench to make an impact. Look, he only has 2 goals in the last 7 appearances. He's goalless in the last 3. Had a big goal in that comeback draw against Atlanta. Here's a guy that just needs to finish. He would tell you that. Had a new baby, Axel. Has dealt with plantar fasciitis as well. But I think the finishing needs to be sharp, and the player is there. I think the service will get to him, whether they play direct or play some, a cross coming into the box, and he's a late runner coming in. I just want to see him deliver against a team that's really struggling out of the back. Uwa's a guy that we've seen a lot of strikers over the last 5-7 years. Kacper Shabilko is coming to mind right now, where they're scoring 4 in 5 games, or they're goalless in 6. Uwa just needs to get one at home and start to get this player revved up, because everybody knows watching this, Union need a lot of their forwards to score, other than just Julian Carranza, other than our number 10 Daniel Gazdag, whether it's from the penalty or from open play. You need to get Uwa going, especially towards the summer months where we're going to lose a ton of guys due to international play.
Yeah, and Orlando is a team, as you mentioned before, has given up a lot of goals so far this season. This could be a great matchup for him to get things going. That's going to do it for us this week. The Union are back at home Saturday to take on Orlando. This one is at 7:30 p.m. and can be seen on Apple TV. But if radio is more your speed, Ray Dunn will be on the call with Sebastian Letou. That's on 97.5 The Fanatic. So for Dave and Seba, I'm Marissa, and we'll see you next week.